The Super Nintendo Entertainment System was home to some of the most challenging RPGs of its time. Such games frequently pushed players to their gaming limits, requiring a mountainous portion of strategic thinking, as well as strong decision-making skills and hours of dedication. The SNES first arrived on the scene in Japan all the way back in 1990, before spreading out across the rest of the world during the early 90s. Sporting improved audio and gameplay compared to what had come before, the console's list of franchise and blockbuster games made it a gamer's delight for several years. During that time, it became the go-to console for RPG lovers, providing a litany of game-changing 90s classics that greatly influenced the genre in the years that followed and often drove players crazy with their unexpected, often unpredictable levels of difficulty. Hello again, friends, and welcome back to Game Rant. I'm Casey, and these are the 6 hardest SNES RPGs. At number 6, we've got Lufia 2: Rise of the Sinistrals. Neverland's puzzle-focused 1995 supernatural epic serves as a prequel to 1993's Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. Picking up 90 years prior to the original Lufia entry, Rise of the Sinistrals follows the adventures of a master swordsman in a time when the titular Sinistrals are causing trouble. The game's intricate puzzle-solving and tough enemy encounters ensure a confronting, stimulating piece of fantasy gaming for players to tackle. On top of that, brain-teasing dungeons prompt players to think critically in order to progress, carefully utilizing their resources along the way. Better still, the game's engrossing turn-based battles and merciless boss fights push gamers to strategize smartly, grinding through to survive. With a well-told storyline and a colorful cast of engaging characters, Lufia 2 stands out as one of the most demanding and rewarding RPGs of its generation. At number 5, we've got Breath of Fire 2. Set a whopping 500 years after the events of the original Breath of Fire, this 1994 sequel focuses on troubled youngster Ryu Bateson. With his family having suspiciously disappeared years prior, and his best friend in hot water for a crime he didn't commit, players follow Bateson as he makes his way through a mysterious plot. Chock full of random encounters that help to keep players on their toes, Breath of Fire 2 also boasts challenging dungeons and exhausting boss fights. All of these features ensure the Capcom classic remains a demanding experience throughout, keeping players hooked thanks to its twisting and turning narrative. At the time of its release, the game was largely dismissed as not quite measuring up to the universally acclaimed original. However, in the years since, Breath of Fire 2's propensity for surprise battles, as well as its world-building and adventurous atmosphere, has seen its reputation and legacy as a classic RPG grow considerably. At number 4, we've got Secret of Mana. Square's 1993 high fantasy RPG saw a groundbreaking change in gameplay for the time. Bidding farewell to the more conventional turn-based combat style of prior games in the genre, the developers opted for a higher stakes, real-time action system for players to enjoy. It balanced the real-time thrills with an immersion emphasis on exploration and engaging storytelling, making for a neatly effective, well-rounded gaming experience. Some players, however, have encountered a hair-pulling level of difficulty from the notoriously unpredicted game, with unexpected spikes in difficulty and overwhelming boss fights raising the bar almost out of nowhere. The challenging gameplay only adds to the game's replay value and overall dramatic intensity. With a fantastic soundtrack, high-level graphics for the time, and an addictive multiplayer mode, Secret of Mana was the total package in its day. At number 3, we've got Chrono Trigger. In a stunning moment in gaming history, the creators of Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and Dragon Ball came together to develop an iconic 1995 release. Sporting a high-concept plot centered on time travel and an Armageddon-level threat, Chrono Trigger quickly impressed both critics and gamers alike upon hitting the stands. In a watershed moment for gaming, Chrono Trigger provided players with a selection of potential endings and a litany of thrilling side quests, both of which became the norm for RPGs in the years after. By the standards of the time, the game also boasted impressively well-formed graphics and heated, effective combat gameplay, further impressing gamers and helping to solidify its status as an instant classic. While attempts at making it the first of a long-running franchise ultimately didn't pan out, this iconic RPG is arguably the peak of development studio Square's golden 90s run. At number 2, we've got Earthbound. The Mother series' influential second installment took the early days of the RPG in a curious direction compared to its more serious contemporaries. Sporting a lighthearted approach to storytelling, the cult classic won over fans with its offbeat comedic style. Engrossing players with its rich litany of complex puzzles and subtle, cleverly laid hints, Earthbound is an exceptional case study in video game pacing. Starting off as a relatively straightforward, easy-to-play adventure, the unconventional classic picks up the pace, gradually evolving into a complicated thrill ride. Bucking the more fantastical trends of RPGs at the time, Earthbound zeroes in on a more modern setting that satirizes US culture at the time. Despite the slightly more grounded setting, the underrated game's wild sci-fi plots involving superpowered melodies and an intergalactic menace named Gigas keeps it firmly in the imaginative lane players have long expected from RPG epics. And taking our spot at number 1, Final Fantasy VI. This 1994 release arguably marked a new peak in the then budding genre of the fantasy RPG. Stepping past the predominantly medieval aesthetic of prior games, the sixth entry in the iconic series embraced the eccentric style of steampunk. Renowned for its thrilling, if often quite frustrating boss battles, including lead antagonist Kefka and the enormously powerful Kaiser Dragon, Final Fantasy VI wowed players with its action and intensity. Sporting complex storylines and characters, the engrossing game is a testament to what can be done with the now rather retro 2D sprite style of gameplay graphics. Composer Nobu Yamatsu delivers the goods once again, infusing the action with a suitably intense, emotionally resonant score. Overall, this marked a seminal farewell to the initial phase of Final Fantasy gaming, with the series moving over to 3D graphics and the PlayStation with its follow-up. And there you have it, folks, the 6 hardest SNES RPGs. Let us know in the comments if you've played any of these RPGs or if you have any favorites on the SNES as well. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and as always, be sure to visit GameRant.com for more top-notch gaming content. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care for now.